Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. It's a fantastic Friday, and the end is near, because in a few moments, I'll be sharing my thoughts and feelings on the Part 1 reunion of Ready to Love Miami. My feelings about this season are widely known by now, and I'll be overwhelmed with joy when the season is finally over. Before this review, I'll be briefly recapping what happened during the episode, and I'll share my thoughts on the foolishness that unfolds. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. The episode kicks off with Nephew Tommy making his introduction at the reunion. And after his introduction, we get flashbacks of a lot of booty shaking and lap dance action that the cast members engaged in over the course of the show. Now I gotta say that this is the horniest cast of Ready to Love that I've ever seen in the show's history. Now one of the first softball questions that Nephew Tommy asked the cast members is how hard was it to put love over lust? But then we see a clip of Devin trying to suck on Charisse's toes, and this is where Devin proudly admits that he has a foot fetish. Now if you've been watching House of Dragon on HBO, then you may feel differently about people who have a foot fetish. But Devin uses his soapbox to turn his foot fetish into a rallying cry about him being true to himself. And to that, I just say more power to you, Devin. But we then shift to Jay and Randall. They reveal that after the camera stopped rolling, they were working through things. And in my opinion, this explanation was very vague, and they seemed to be talking in circles. But as for me, I'm just a small town boy with a public school education, and sometimes I need things to be broken down to me in simple terms. But I am fluent in BS, and from what I gathered, Randall and Jay are no longer official, but they still care about one another. Which likely means that Randall is stringing Jay along like he did Kayla and Trinika, and instead of breaking things off officially, Jay is still leaving the door open for a possible reunion, and I wouldn't be surprised if Randall is clapping them cheeks in the meantime. But I was never really a fan of Randall, and it seemed like the woman who he talked to had to twist his arm just to get him to keep it real with him, which I think is a little messed up. But we go to commercial break, and when we come back, we focus on the character Charisse. Now I have absolutely no clue how Charisse made it as long as she did. Call it divine intervention, or maybe the producers wanted to ensure that she stuck around for ratings. Dominica was the first to confront Charisse because Charisse insinuated that she was a stripper. Charisse plays dumb, but most of the folks there agree with Dominica, and they back her during the exchange. Then we go to Zoe, who also chimes in, and he makes things spicy by calling Charisse fake quite a few times. There's a whole back and forth between the two of them, which is laughable as Nephew Tommy sits back and allows the sparks to fly. But I gotta keep it real. These folks are entirely too old to be going back and forth like this. We then get to the Kayla, Mike, and Brandy triangle. And long story short, Kayla felt like her connection with Mike was just as strong, if not stronger than Brandy's. Later in the conversation, Dominica calls Mike out for not showing her any attention during the show's process, and by accusing him of dating somebody else while still with Brandy. Mike plays it cool, and the tensions in the room begin to thin out. But in the backstage, good old Kadian is stirring the pot, and she's running her mouth to Zoe because he had a strong connection with Kayla. Swayze also is chirping in, and Zoe cracks jokes on Swayze. Swayze takes it personal, and he gets up like he's ready to fight Zoe. Zoe sits there perfectly still, waiting for Swayze to approach him, but as predicted, Swayze waits for somebody to hold him back and escort him out. Zoe then says F this reunion, and he leaves because he has $1 million company to run. We then go to commercial break, but when we come back, we talk about Shakira and the drama between her and the troublemaker Kadian. Shakira pours her heart out to Nephew Tommy in explaining what Kadian's actions did to her, and Kadian is unapologetic about the whole matter. There's a whole lot of back and forth between the two of them, and to be honest, I could care less about this beef, and I need my 5 minutes back. We then get a segment of LJ, where he reveals that he's been dating Trinika, Charisse, and Looney. We also learn that LJ is still talking to his ex, but in my opinion, this segment was considered filler and a huge waste of time. We then come back from a commercial break, and we see the most dramatic blow-ups over the season. Charisse and Kadian have yet another back and forth over Kadian allegedly inviting Charisse out to be treated by Kadian's sugar daddy. The longer I watched this back and forth argument, the more brain cells I lost, and I had to tune it out eventually. Kadian then threatens to hit Charisse, the same way that Swayze threatened to hit Zoe, and the episode ends before things could pop off. But overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give this reunion a solid 3. This was the first Ready to Love reunion that I remember where all the cast members were not in attendance. I think Zoe had the right idea about leaving halfway through the first part of the reunion. But I was a little disappointed that we didn't get to hear more about Mike and Brandy's journey since the show ended. I'm very anxious to see part 2 of the reunion so that I can finally put this foolishness behind me and be done with it once and for all. But this marks the end of my review. If you have any questions or comments related to the review or the episode, feel free to leave it below in the comments section and I'll reply to everybody. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.